I am heard.
Oh, man.
It's weird to record at 6 o'clock in the evening. It's
I
an unknown,
know.
untapped
That's right,
hour
yeah.
for us.
I'm really looking forward to our eventual noon recording, but also there's got to be a situation where we end up recording at 2:30 in the morning
Mm-hmm.
or 4 in the morning. What's the more obscure time? I think 4 a.m. is the most obscure time and the least hour struck where I'm awake.
Yeah, even by then, I'm usually asleep. I mean,
Lifetime.
I'm a night owl.
Lifetime. Because I've never been a morning person where I'm up certainly to see 4 o'clock. And even in my younger years, I was asleep by 4 o'clock. So I think 4 a.m. is the least frequent time I have ever experienced awake.
I'd say if I'm up at 4 a.m. and I notice it, that's when I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, no, how did this happen? Like, so even if
Well,
it's a night where I have the next day off, I'm like, I'm gonna stay up a little late. Again, YouTube Vortex, maybe some gaming, maybe watch a game that I recorded earlier in the day. And all of a sudden, you see that 4, and you're like, no, there's no way
yeah,
I'm doing anything before noon.
weird life to live because if you have to work at 7 in the morning, you're like, I have the worst decision right now. I have two terrible roads to go down, and usually I'm gonna go. Let's see how this plays out. I go, let's stay up. If there's a wonder if you should go to sleep or not, my route I take is usually I'm not. So
You're not.
no.
We'll do it. Yeah, we'll eventually do. We'll have to pull an all. Obviously the Strange Fam audience is growing.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe by one a month. So at this
I
rate, we're probably gonna have to do a 12-hour live stream thing. And yeah, we'll
absolutely.
pull an all nighter.
I think it's the next logical step in this growing organism.
If we've learned nothing else this week, it's that we're both very, very timely.
I've confused my priorities. Isn't it supposed to come to me? Yes, this is how it's meant to be. Every little thing flashing on a screen.
You're sucking on a lemon. Hello. Welcome to Strangely Familiar, the podcast title I almost forgot. It took me, my brain was cycling so quickly to remember the title.
Welcome to the show you all know and love. It doesn't even need to be named, but I will in just a moment because that name is oddly peculiar. No, that doesn't sound right. Good night, everybody.
Now I forgot what I was going to say too.
Good.
Wow, I just doubled down as you were saying that. I was like, it'd be so funny if I did actually forget it, and then I just totally forgot
Good.
Where I was going with that.
Oh.
Strangely Familiar. That's right. I was going to say my name. That's the part I forgot.
Oh yeah, it's
I
written
should have
on your
wrote that
hand.
down. Mm-hmm. My name's Matt.
My name's Matt. No, wait, no, Jeff. Jeff.
I feel like we should do that once every 5 episodes. Introduce the name of the pod and ourselves, just to,
no one's tuning in at the first episode of something that I guess is somewhat chronological, but really isn't. We don't talk about current events, so
that's true.
What's it matter?
We all of our references are 2010 ish or earlier.
There's no real fluidity. There's no. I mean, we have. I'll read our descriptions on Spotify. I'll read a description of the episode. I'm like, what does this even mean? I was there for it. I'm like, and this seems so janky, but I don't know how you title. I don't know how you title episode or even write a synopsis of it.
Let me take you behind the curtain. Strange Fam and Jeff.
Wow.
I just listen to it. I write down the things that we talk about, and I try to not make it the exact same sentences every week, the same style. So I punch them up. I spend a good 2 or 3 minutes
Good.
punching it
Good.
up. I mean, if anybody's like me, you spend a lot of time reading the description of a podcast before you listen to it.
Oh
You
yeah,
really want to know what you're in
100%.
for.
Yeah. Now
And
we're taking applications for interns. If anyone wants to be an intern producer for the show, there are openings. It is an unpaid internship.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for college credit, I don't know how that works, but you probably wouldn't get any. Although if it's something that I just need to sign, like community service hours or something like I'm into, actually you could do it for community service.
Let's do a community service outreach.
Are you well, I'm not sure this is the same thing, because I'm saying if you're some sort of felon and you are in need of like community hours logged, you could be our producer.
Mm-hmm.
And
so instead of like picking up trash on the highway, you're picking up trash on the internet.
There you go.
We're the internet's empty Coke can.
Mm-hmm. So that's Coke, pretty good.
Hashtag ad.
Yeah.
So I do have to acknowledge, I know we had some fans this week that got really upset.
Oh boy.
Because we always post on Wednesdays.
Always. Like clockwork. Like a broken clock.
Sure enough, Wednesday night, I was editing the pod, got it all ready, rendered it overnight so that Thursday morning it'd be ready to go at noon.
Mm-hmm.
I got up that morning, posted it, texted Jeff, like, pod's ready. It's going to be premiered. It's going to be on noon. And I thought it was Wednesday that day. I was completely, Jeff, you posted me some text of like, hey, from some StrangeFam member. Like, I mean, something about rioting.
It said, yeah, really I don't normally riot, but it is Wednesday, ... And I had nothing. I was put in an awkward position to be like, I know, and I am sorry. I will try to make amends.
I don't know. It was all week I was off. So last week I had Monday off, and I never do. And it totally just destroyed my whole week. Like my rhythm, everything about the week was, and I was like confident when you texted me that, hey, somebody's waiting on Wednesday. It's like, wow, they're already ready. Wow, that's cool. I was like, I didn't until I texted you. That's when I realized it was Thursday.
Wow.
And I was like, it doesn't make any sense. And I was like, wow, I'm off a whole day in my life. And I was the whole week. Never even, it's weird because you think it would have mattered at work, but it didn't.
Yeah. Matt's going around on Wednesday telling people like, hey, one more day to the weekend, right? Hey, TGIF coming up. And they're like, what are you talking about?
So, I know at the StrangeFam, we've kind of created this association of trust and honesty and, you know, the shared experience. And I feel like I've emotionally harmed every single one of you. And that hurts me to know that you could feel this way about me, that I'm a loser, that I didn't do my justice, that I'm letting Jeff down. It feels terrible. And I just hope that you don't sink any less of me. Dan almost nailed it.
I don't know if you said sink any less of me on purpose.
Yeah, sink any less of me. That'd be terrible. I nailed all the words. Our words of the week are association, harm, and sink.
I'm like, oh no.
Wow, that was another peel behind the curtain, peel behind the onion.
Peel behind the onion.
Awkward emotional onion that I am. I thought about that 2 minutes before the pod. I wrote down the words. I had to look up the words from last week. I forgot them.
Now, folks, for those of you that are not watching, I'm not here with a graphic tee, and I apologize for not having one on. I'm wearing a plain maroon.
Are you wearing your
polo.
Work clothes?
I mean, yeah, because I just finished work like a half hour ago.
That's right.
Matt, on the other hand, is wearing something that I cannot identify.
It's citrus, baby. Got the lemon.
Oh, those are lemon halves. They are a bunch of lemon halves as the pattern on his
squeeze them
on his light blue shirt. Beep, beep, as he beep, beep, those beeps beep, are indicative of his fingers touching his nipples.
Squeezing the beep beep.
Oh, okay. Well, that took a turn, but yeah,
I'm a citrus boy. Ever since I've been promoting the Spindrift and the grapefruit, I've been getting sent citrus-related items from the StrangeFam. Wouldn't that be awesome? That's not true, obviously. Nobody sends us anything.
No.
And I don't
No.
ask that you do. But if you were going to send us something, what would it be? That'll be the next Spotify question.
Yeah. That what would you send us that is going to stand out amongst the thousands and thousands of gifts that StrangeFam members would send us? What are you sending us that would stick
Okay.
out?
How about this? What are we sending each other after whatever 15 episodes? What we know about
Oh.
each other. On the spot. Let's go.
So no.
What do you mean no?
No. Let's do that.
Yeah. Oh, just send it?
Uh-huh. And then
Okay. Ooh.
and then then we'll have a
Ooh.
discussion when the gifts are received. We will have a recap.
Yes, an opening on. Yeah, don't even open it.
Okay.
An unboxing.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll say maybe 2 episodes from now.
Yeah,
to allow
we'll shoot for
time.
2 episodes.
Yeah. So next weekend we'll share each other's addresses, and then the week after we'll send us stuff.
And folks, if you're listening on the day that this comes out, which by that time might be next Saturday, no one knows. Matt's gone off the kilter with that.
This Thursday.
God. All right, taking note of that because I will forget. Yeah. Okay.
I've already forgotten. I got to type this. Oh, you know what I didn't forget to type? Did you go to the Home Depot after the last pod last week? Did you get anything? Anything notable?
I've gone to Home Depot since our last pod.
Actually, I have too.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you sounded like you were just going to go for trinkets and maybe get some random stuff, but
I got this week at Home Depot. Wait. What did I do last week at Home Depot? Oh,
I
man.
know that you had a bunch of stuff to do. That's why you were pounding the Diet Coke.
Yeah, I got
Bed Bath & Beyond and Home Depot.
I did not get to Bed Bath & Beyond, but at the depot.
That's why they're going out of business.
I did. Yeah. I got, what do you call it? Mulch. I got mulch at the Home Depot so we could get fresh mulch in front of the house. And then I got other stuff at Home Depot I got a propane tank, a second propane tank for the griddle. So
Baller status.
So I could switch them out.
It's a summer flex.
Yeah. And then recently I also got 2 totes. One for my griddle stuff because I have so many things for the griddle, and then one for car washing stuff because I enjoy washing my own car, and I'm just upping my game a little bit.
Wow, you sound really organized.
Totes, man. Totes. Ah, that's funny. I'm funny. What did you go to Home Depot for?
A plunger.
Okay. Explain to me that. Now, was this an emergency trip to Home Depot or a casual trip to Home Depot for that one particular item, which is unlikely?
I will say it was not a total emergency, but it was an emerging emergency. So I have a plunger in my house. Humble brag. I mean, it's part of my rent. It was supplied. It's a furnished. It's a fully furnished apartment. It's got a plunger. Yeah. It's like one of those old style. It's just a wooden, like 2-foot stick on like just the pink little, it's a sink and toilet plunger. The problem with it is it goes convex too many times when you're trying to use it. So it'll go from like one of those quarter machine things, flippy flop that you spit upside down, and so it pops up.
Matt, do you know that a sink and toilet plunger are 2 different plungers?
Well, it's the only one I have.
Okay.
So
you have a sink plunger, it sounds like.
I do. Well, I mean, some of them are marketed. Like if you go to Home Depot, you'll see that plunger. It'll say sink/toilet plunger.
Okay.
But it's really only effective for the sink or the shower drain. So that's usually what I would use it for. Just, after every few months, just kind of like get the shower drain unclogged a little bit. But not this time, friends. Tell you what, taking booze out of your diet just really makes everything harder. I'll tell you what.
Replaced it with cabbage and oat bran.
And did not do the job. So I got this like I don't know what it's called, the honeybee, but it looks like a full on bee's hive, and you just really just punch
Oh, I
into
do
it.
know
So
I do know
like a
what you're
punching
talking
bag,
about.
like a
Yeah.
punching bag plunger. It worked really well. Best part was, I mean, it looks like an industrial plunger,
Yeah.
and I don't know why. If I
Yeah.
should even feel that way, but it's like it sort of feels embarrassing buying a plunger at Home Depot, even though where else would you go to get it? I don't know. It'd be like, oh, this isn't for me, though. Hey, this isn't for. It's for Mother's Day.
I
You know?
mean,
Yeah. And then my, of course, my pin, the chip on my card wasn't working, so the associate had to come over and help me, and I had to go to another register. So it turned into a whole thing of me just walking around with a plunger in my hand for like 5 minutes. So it made it really, really exciting.
Did you make sure to make eye contact with like someone else? Be like, yeah, right? Poops.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, now how does this work? Do you just shit into this and then dump it into the toilet? This is my first time. I don't know how this works. And then good news, I got into the right car, the correct car when I went into the parking lot. So
Hey, it's growing.
it shares a lot with the Kohl's. It's right next door to it. But I made sure. Honestly, I did make sure I whacked. I was like, I double checked because I didn't want that old lady.
You do the unlock sound and then you do it again.
Yeah, just to make sure.
Sure.
No greatest Nana signs in there. But yeah, not too adventurous. Got what I needed. I never feel like I belong at Home Depot though, because I'm not a contractor. So I'll show up, for example, with a button-up shirt with lemons on it, and
right,
you know,
that's when you go. Yeah, you're like you like get out of your car and you put a pencil in behind your ear.
Yeah,
and like have like a clipboard, but you're still wearing that. You're like, what? It's Citrus Contracting. You've never heard of us? Citrus Contracting LLC.
Yeah. What job you working now? It's a little thing on Genesee and Loop. It's the Pictionary. Doing a little Pictionary later, so
It's whatever.
Pretty big deal.
Yeah. Oh man, Pictionary. We used to go hard at Pictionary, dude.
It's probably one of the best party games, isn't it?
I think so. I mean, it's died down because anything where you have to write like and draw and huddle near humans, I feel like those games aren't as embraced anymore.
What card/board game do you think you've played the most in the last 20 years?
Man, I'm going to take poker out of it because that's a whole different thing.
Do you still, what's your poker regimen?
It's hard,
How often do you play?
I love playing live, but like I don't play a lot because I just don't have local friends that are big into poker. I don't like playing poker at the casino. I will do it very, 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 very infrequently, like a couple times a year at most. Because I liked it as more of a casual thing to do with friends, 4 or 5 friends, play some cards. But yeah, I join a during the winter months when things slow down for a lot of people. My buddy holds kind of like a league online.
Really?
So we'll play in that. Yeah, and it's open to like friends and then friends of friends. So like it's getting to the point where like the last game of the season I think had 79 people in it.
Just a straight up tournament?
Yep.
Hell yeah.
No limit holding tournament. So that's fun. It's like, $50 to play. You can play. I mean, he holds a ton of games, so you can play either the weekly no limit game. He'll have like a losers game after that for like $20 if people want to play. So yeah, it's fun. But
dude, I haven't played poker because we were really into it in high school.
Oh man,
I played it in college too, but I have probably played 2 games of poker since college, honestly.
Wow.
And I don't know why. I know, well, in New York, sports gambling's legal. I don't know how that works with some of the online
Casinos
books and stuff, because some of them seem to have card games. I haven't jumped into it yet. I might, but it's there's no way that's a good idea.
No,
really.
Probably not.
Yeah,
probably not.
I'd rather just bet on sports, honestly.
But I mean, for board games, I mean, here's something you probably don't know. I got really into pitch and euchre at first, but euchre's child's play.
Dude, yeah.
So pitch is awesome.
The senior citizen card game.
Pitch is the greatest card game out there. I would argue that's one of my that might be my favorite card/board game. Is just I could play pitch for hours and hours on end for no money or anything. It's just a fun game.
What's the object of that? I don't think I've never played it. I've heard of it.
So You play usually in 4 people, and you sit across from your partner on a table. The point is to get each deal has 6 cards, and the point so there's 6 tricks, which is everyone playing 1 card per trick. So there's 6 tricks involved, and amongst those 6 tricks, there's a potential of 4 points to be scored. So you're trying to score as many points per hand. Yeah, per hand. We'll say a series of 6 tricks is a hand, and then the game is when is the first team to sometimes 11, sometimes 21, depending if you're playing draw or not. Let's see. There's a trump. Trump is selected, so you like bet on base. You're dealt your cards. You look at your cards, and you say the goal is to have a strong holding of 1 suit. That's how you have a good hand. If they're all the same, as many of the same suit as possible and as high as possible. Generally speaking, there's other strategies, but whoever bets the most, your bet is what you're saying you're allegedly going to score. So you can bet 2. So if I say 2, then the next people after me either have to bid 3 or higher. This is just going to keep going, and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Either people know what I'm talking about and they're going to finish for me, or they don't know what I'm talking about and they're certainly not learning right now.
Here's an unrelated question. Have you ever asked somebody a question and then they started answering and you were like, oh no.
I immediately regret this decision. Yeah. I train people in a professional environment. I do that 7 times a day where I ask a question like, so what do you think about this? And it's really open-ended. I'm like, well, that was a terrible idea.
But somebody's like listening to that and they're like, no, it's not like that.
Oh,
Don't say it like 6. It's like 4. You're not describing it right. There's a more fun way to describe it.
There are multiple people that are going to text me when they listen to this and be like, that was a terrible start to you describing how to play pitch. So now all I've done is that and wasted other people's time.
I like Uno. I think somehow, some way, it's probably one of the games I've played the most, or it's been most consistent. It's a great party game. You can create rules for it. I remember we used to play like high stakes Uno when I lived in DC.
Now, what is a high stake?
We would, if you scored like the least points or something like that, or what is it? I think in Uno, we kind of changed. We had house rules, but basically whoever lost after several games, after every game, whoever had the most cards or highest amount of cards had to do something in the house or the apartment. So sometimes it would be like, hey, ride your bike through the apartment inside, which is really hard. It's like, there's nothing. It's the funniest thing to watch somebody comically try to navigate around couches or through doorways on a bike really slowly. But then it would go. It's usually when we were going out, so it'd be like, okay, all night you have to order Shirley Temples at the bar, kind of thing. So, and then I think it finally went to this one guy had to shave half of his head before he went out that night, like vertically.
Jeez.
Yeah. So it was like, you really didn't want to get like the overall night loser, but usually it just involved drinking and that kind of stuff. But it's a solid game. No house plays the same. It always creates a nice little rules fight, which I think is kind of the crux of any board game night, is a good 20-30 minutes of arguing about the rules or how I play at home, or no, you did that too early. You guys are cheating. You guys are clearly cheating. You're a couple. You guys shouldn't be sitting next to each other. Like, that's not fair. Like, okay, you're giving her the good cards, and it's like, just play for yourself. That's my favorite game, is the game within the game.
Monopoly rules, I think, is the OG of house rules. It boils down to the first thing you can read about someone like this or that. It's like the biggest this or that in gaming is Monopoly. Do you put $500 in free parking, or is it literally just a spot where nothing happens?
You got to put the money in.
Yeah, I mean, purists are going to be like, no, it's free parking. It just means nothing happens. I'm like, yeah, dude, nothing like celebrating absolutely nothing on a board. But the biggest arguments stem from categories. It is the most.
Yeah, that's a good. I have not played that enough, but that's a great
gray area. Oh no, I love it, but I hate it because it's like it will create arguments because of subjectivity.
And I'm trying to remember. So categories, it's a team game, but you have a certain amount of time to name a bunch of stuff within whatever
whatever letter
the
is
random
rolled.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a letter's rolled on a dice, and then you have, say 2 or 3 minutes when the timer starts, and there's 12 basically categorical things, and you have to come up with something for each one of those categories that starts with that letter. But you can be creative, and multiple words can earn you multiple points. But the problem is are you being creative, or are you circumnavigating the rules? So that's the problem. So like if it was B and it was like name a type of car, and someone's like blue car. Well, that's not really a thing. But B, name something in the ocean. Blue whale. But that does work because there's an actual species of whale called blue whale. So like it just turns into chaos.
I disagree. We're not going to count it. I've never seen one.
See, exactly.
Tell me you've seen one.
That's real life of the conversations I have.
Yeah.
So I lose friends, family members. So if I want to not be friends with someone anymore, I can start purposefully playing categories, because that's just an easy way to get into a confrontation.
Did you have anything for association, harm, and sync?
Sync is really, really hard to have a story about syncs. So I couldn't think of anything with that. Association, I'm trying. I was torn because I'm like, do I need something that has the word association in the name? Because then I'm like, well, what's the difference between association and another like grouping? And so I started.
Have you ever lived in an HOA?
I have
before,
not
Katie?
had to abide by an HOA, no, but I was thinking about the fact of wanting to do work at my house and having to get like approval from the town, which I think is complete bureaucratic nonsense.
Like more than like a permit type deal? Or
Even permits.
Yeah.
It's like if I want to install a patio and my yard is already fenced in, why do I need a permit to install a patio? Be like, it's not for devaluation of property, because that's going to raise the value because it's livable outdoor square footage. And then it's not going to be a safety issue because it's on my property and it's not like it's raised. It's going to be like a 4-inch pad off the ground. So like
somebody got to collect that money,
yeah,
Jeff.
exactly,
You know that.
Exactly. Thanks a lot, municipalities. F off. So anyway, I don't want to get into that.
I rented a home in, it's called like the Garden Estates. So they're all these like, we weren't really in an H. It was sort of like, I guess we were tacitly in it but it was like we rented from the owner. So it was just like keep the lawn. I think we actually got a notice one day because we didn't mow the lawn for like 2 weeks and it wasn't even really that high. But it was great because there's the best is like the Facebook group that's part of those. Like of don't do the firework. Like God forbid there's ever a firework that goes off anywhere near the neighborhood because everybody on Facebook's gonna go crazy about how compromised the emotions of their dogs are. Which I guess I could feel bad for, but it's also like, okay, we get it. We can chill out on the Facebook dog fireworks thing. Or the pool. Dude, you better fucking put that pool umbrella down. Otherwise the wind's gonna get it. Or I'm telling you, the wind's gonna get it, and then nobody's gonna be allowed in the pool anymore.
Oh, it had a community pool.
Yeah. So yeah. And somebody, I think people just take on the roles of like pool policemen or whatever.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's funny. I mean, I think it's just because I knew we weren't going to live there. I don't think I could stand it if you lived in it for 10 to 15 years, something like that.
Do people love being like vigilantes on Facebook
for the smallest things?
Oh yeah, it's so weird. I mean, we get it in our community too of like 6,000 people. The best part is those. You know what? Also will make people run to Facebook. Helicopters flying by. Did anyone see that helicopter earlier? Does anyone know what's going on?
Oh yeah, just queries about noises.
Right. Like people no longer wonder. Like wonder meaning like, I wonder what that is. But then have like you're saying that, but you really don't care because your brain's like, no, that has nothing to do with you. But people now go wonder. I should post on Facebook to see if I can get answers because I want answers. So people will be like, I love this one. I saw an accident at so-and-so. Hope everyone's okay. Why did you post that? You
like and follow.
Right. You just want an echo chamber of people being like, wow, you're a really good person. I mean, you care. You made sure that we understand that you care. Good for you. Like, you're honestly a tool because you're using someone who probably is now dealing with a tough situation. You're using their sorrow to boost your ego to try to look like a good person. You don't give a shit. You would have stopped at the scene and like asked them if they were okay. That's what a good person does. A tool bag, pile of shit who wants to act like they're cool or a good person, posts about it on Facebook and says, thoughts and prayers. Fuck off.
Angry.
You bet.
Well, I've been out of the Facebook game for so long. I couldn't stand it. It's like, yeah, there's did anybody see that skunk in the neighborhood? Oh man, I think he was trying to spray my little chihuahua. And it's like, so undoubtedly somebody's under there going like, yeah, it's probably the smell of Sleepy Joe letting in a Mexican immigrant to kill our kids. It's like, what? Doesn't mean anything. Where did that come from? Get off Facebook, Grandpa.
And then someone puts like, you know what? I always used to love going to my grandma's because a skunk would go through their garden. Like, what? Why are we like people just go like everyone like 60 and older just goes off on these weird tangents and it just becomes this weird web of nothing related to anything. But yeah, there's some usually good old fashioned racism in there. Just because
the problem is the person then who's like the justice warrior who will respond to it. It's like, Trump did that with skunks back when he was in college. Right. Nobody ever. It's like, no, don't have this. Don't do this.
This turned into it.
You wouldn't do this in person. Don't do it here.
Yeah.
Don't do it here. That's what happens. I remember I was telling a kid at work the other day.
Politics.
Because she was like, what are you doing? She's on her break. What are you doing? She's like, I'm looking up my parents' friends on Facebook. I was like, what? Why? She's like, I don't know. And I was like, just seeing what they say. She's like, yeah. And I was like, well, when I was on Facebook in like whatever, 2004 or 5, like you had to have a college email address to get on there. And it was like really just the people at your college. And it's sort of like your own yearbook or whatever that you could have. So you could like, oh, that's who that person is. I saw them in that class. Or like, hey, I want to hang out with this person. You could use that. And then a couple years later, you just needed an email address. And then it was like, hey, let's let in all everybody's parents and grandparents. let's really ruin this thing.
They got in on they like partnered with AARP and everything went to shit.
Yeah. It's so funny though how like I don't even think my parents were like this specifically, but I remember when the internet was coming out and it's like, well, be careful. Don't meet anybody on there. Don't talk to strangers, that kind of stuff. Don't give anybody your information. And now oh my God, I see it at work every day. People buying gift cards. How many old people just like willingly give all their information online or just communicate with strangers in every way?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, ironic, as Alanis Morissette would say.
So it is currently 33 minutes into the pod of our COVID episode.
Let's go.
And we have not sputtered.
Well, that's what happens. It just sneaks
COVID.
up on you,
Oh,
you don't see it coming.
It's in itself is a segue.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I'll make a segue sound. Ready? COVID-19, the episode. Dude. Where were you? I remember I was in I sort of remember it was coming on and people were a little bit worried. And I was at the Planet Fitness and I just saw Rudy Gobert would not play because he had COVID. And I was like, holy shit, it's coming. It's coming. Then all of a sudden, like, I don't have to get all the details, but all of a sudden a week later, I was working at the bookstore. They're like, okay, we're closed. And then we would like wrap up games and books. People would order curbside. We were all in there with our gloves and our masks and like cleaning all day and then like putting stuff outside for people. And then a couple weeks after that, it was like, you're on furlough. You ain't got a gig. And I was like, oh, fuck. That's kind of how it started.
The best was the ambiguity and how awesome of measures we were taking when everything was cast. Like people were like, oh yeah, what do you do? It's like, oh, well, I've been sterilizing my groceries with a garden hose, like and leaving them in the freezer for 6 hours. Cause I heard like that will kill the COVIDs. And it's just like everyone had legitimate things they were doing because they read or heard somewhere that that's what you should do. Because like all the there was no scientific data yet. So every report was like, is this the one we listen to? Is this the one we listen to? But yeah, dude, I was, it's funny you say that with the Rudy Gobert thing. Cause obviously for those of you that don't know, the basketball player Rudy Gobert made fun of it, made fun of the protocols that were being taken. And
It
then
was like all on ESPN or
and then
something like
he
that before a
literally came
game.
down with it like 2
Yeah.
days later.
Yeah.
But, I was working and it started coming up and playing a part. And then someone that sits across from me in our desks, she was like, yeah, I'm going to the Sixers game tonight. And she went to the Sixers game. And then the headlines the next morning was that like there was a confirmed case in whoever was traveling to play the Sixers, and that team got quarantined in the Wells Fargo Center. But she came to work the next morning, so all of us were like, is she supposed to be here? Like they're literally containing people at Wells Fargo, and that's where she was yesterday. And so like, dude, it was so weird. People were freaking out.
Yeah, I didn't know early on, and ultimately, you know, a lot of people did die from it. And obviously, we know it's like a lot of older folks or bad health people, which, but it was still. I mean, we didn't know that at the beginning. We didn't know anything, so it was like, I
No.
remember the first few days being scary because like my roommate Sarah like worked at a hospital. So it was
Oh,
going to be like, oh, you're clearly going to bring it home, or do you know? It was like talk of, well, do you go live somewhere else now, or do you like we're going to have the nurses all go live together, like because we don't know how bad it's going to be. Like, what if he gets it? What if we all get it? You know, because then like, you know, then Brett, my roommate's like, well, his parents are older, and it's like, you know, is he going to get them sick? And we didn't, you know.
yeah.
There was a lot of uncertainty. It was scary at the beginning for sure. Just watching those first couple days of TV coverage, where like the count of how many people had it into the hundreds of thousands.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was wild. Yeah, I was living by myself in an apartment. So I mean, my transition of when work was like, all right, yeah, we're not coming to work tomorrow. So I just had my laptop with me already. I'm like, all right, I guess I work here now. Um, but yeah, I was angry at the beginning. I wasn't scared. I was angry. I had planned a trip with like 6 other buddies from college we rented a place in Tampa, Florida to go to opening day at Tropicana. And it's like 3 weeks out and baseball's still scheduled to start on time. I'm like, I'm going. So we literally had guys that were like, well, I can't go because of this. And I'm like, until the planes stop flying, like me and my buddy Bob were like agreed. We're like, I'll go if you go. I'll go if you go. But it came down and then everything started shutting down. The game got canceled. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to go when there's no game. And so then like arguing or not arguing, but it was pretty civil. But me and the Airbnb guy trying to talk about, or not Airbnb, it was Verbo, but me and him trying to talk about, should I be guaranteed my refund or should he be guaranteed to keep our deposit? And so
Yeah, that was like a thing. That's
yeah,
right.
so we were amicable with each other, and so we split it down the middle of kind of coming to an agreement on what I had paid for a deposit to that part. I'm like, all right, you know, I think we split half and half, or he might have even got more than that. I can't remember, but it was something where I'm like, I don't want this to be a thing. So if this guy's going to work with me, I'm like, I'll work with him. But yeah, man, my first inkling was, well, now I'm supposed to be on vacation and I'm not. So I was just angry. I was angry before terror. April was the weirdest month. April was the month where I'm just like, I don't even know what to think anymore right now. I would just wake up, do my job, but my job like,
So you were still working?
oh, I
the
worked.
whole
I didn't
time
miss a
from home.
single day of work.
Wow. Yeah.
But my job was mostly talking to attorneys, our attorneys or plaintiff attorneys, and so like a lot of attorney offices were closed and stuff. So I'm like, I can't really do much with my job. And then the courts closed down. So when lawsuits aren't being heard and the courts and the claims can't move forward because I'm only in litigation and the court needs to move things forward and the court shuts down, it was just like kind of weird because you really couldn't do anything.
Wow. And so you said you were living by yourself?
I was in an apartment by myself.
What was that like?
It was
Just
sad and lonely.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Caitlin had to work because she works in like a medical facility, but she's a teacher in a children's like hospital setting. So like she goes to them. So there's teachers that go to these kids because they're, not mobile. So I told her, I'm like, for what it's worth, I'm like, I don't care if you come over. I'm like, I'll leave it to you, but I'm like, I need some human interactions. I'm like, and living in New Jersey and living by myself, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I can't see like my parents, my family, friends, anything like that. I was just kind of like, well, you're welcome to come over because you'll literally be the only human interaction I have. And I need that. So like I'd play video games online and like chat with people over like Call of Duty only because I'm like, you're the only people I'm
No, that was
talking
huge
to.
for sure.
So yeah, I mean, that was it. That was my night. I'd like I'd prep myself some dinner and stuff. And then I'm like, I guess I'll play games. Even if I didn't want to play games, I'd sign on to play games because it's like interacting with people.
Yeah, I did a lot, especially so. I guess a couple weeks in, I got the furlough.
Yeah.
And not knowing, I think at first it was like this is going to be 2 weeks, then all of a sudden it was like a month, and then it was like I ended up being on furlough for 4 months, but it was like just like a week at a time that I would find out. And then it was like the money. Well, okay, so how am I going to
How
make
does
money?
money
And then
work?
because I know like there was like the thing about you don't have to pay rent, landlords can't kick you out, but you don't want to be that person. But fortunately, like our landlord was like would have been accommodating, but we didn't because all of a sudden that government cheese started coming in, and that's when that was that was the good part of COVID. I hate saying the good part of COVID, but it like because I was just getting free government money. I was like, this is what it feels like. This is amazing. Um, but there was no sense of like timing or anything. I remember just getting lost in day, like because my roommate Brett, he was a musician, so he's like he couldn't go play anymore.
Right.
So he and I were basically just homebodies.
So what did you do?
Sarah would go to work. I lost sense of everything. I would go for walks. That would be my thing, especially early on. Like I basically had the neighborhood memorized. Like it was like these. I mean, it was like a suburban neighborhood. Our house was off. Fortunately, we lived together. We had a dog. Really nice house. Um, really nice neighborhood. So I would just, I mean, basically go for a walk every day. I mean, I don't even know what time it was, what day it was. I would be up to like 4 or 5 in the morning. Um, I mean, once stores started opening up again, like I mean, I would just drink. I would just basically get booze, get some vodka, get some beers, get some pizzas. I mean, I was not taking care of myself at all because it was like, but I also couldn't enjoy it. Like that was what like my first reflection on it after it happened because like you didn't know it was happening when it was going to end. Like now you'd be like, oh, I would love to have 6 months off again and know that, but there was no timetable. There was no end. There was like so many questions in the air that you were never comfortable. I was never comfortable. I would say I was anxious about it. I was like, I didn't know what was happening or if how everybody was up here in New York, like health wise. And, it was like, it would be like call family on a walk and then just go back home, watch video games. I remember like the excitement of when that Pete Davidson movie came out, Staten Island. Because I remember the movies were all of a sudden it was like this movie was going to come out that
King of
what
Staten Island.
yeah, and that what's his name had directed Apatow, and like we paid the $20 to rent it. We were like, we're gonna set this up. We're gonna treat it like a movie, like we're going to the movies. It's like $20. That's cheaper than going to the movies. Like we'll rent it. We like set up the whole living room, got pop, whatever. Like we treat it like we actually went to the movies. That's how like desperate we were
Right,
for
like
like
life
some kind of feeling
actions.
of normalcy. Yeah. Fortunately, Tiger King was out then. Remember Tiger King?
Oh
That
yeah.
got me through. One of the first.
Netflix came through with honestly probably creating their most watched show ever. Like that was all of the talk for 2 weeks
Yeah,
because
it was
everyone
so
had
weird.
time.
To like all of a sudden things got canceled that you didn't. It's like, oh, there's no more NHL season, no more March Madness. Okay, we don't have shows, and you see the conversion of entertainment become like these reunion YouTube shows, which I thought was at the time I was like, this is cool. Like it's amazing what you were like willing to grasp at to have like what felt like some normalcy. That's what it felt like for me. I mean, whatever it was, books, movies, like YouTube. I mean, gaming was huge. That's when I bought the PC that I'm on right now. I just got into it. I started doing Twitch, like playing games. Fall Guys was big. I remember during that time that came out, and yeah, it wasn't until a little while later that then I got transferred to another half price bookstore, and I was unfortunately and I became manager of like the one that I used to work at. I moved back to South Lamar, which is the store I started at. And I got to enjoy being like the mask police for like the
Oh
store,
no.
which is like the least. It's like worse than being a teacher. I
Oh, it
think
is.
just
That's
being
worse
like,
than being like the receipt checker at Walmart.
yeah, it's like, dude, what I know, but just fucking, just put it on. Just come on, just grow, be a grown up. I don't like. It doesn't hurt you. Like, just put it on. I don't care. Just do it. Just do this thing. We don't have to talk about it anymore, and just you can come in, and it'll be okay. It'll be okay. You're gonna be okay. Like, you don't have to have this argument here.
You'd swear you were literally telling someone, be like, you know, you took a blood oath and you have to cut your hand and then pour the blood in the cup. Like, honestly, you tell someone, like, you put on a mask, and like, you'd see them like rev up that they're
Yeah.
ready to like fight
It's
back.
a
and you're-
literal
Yeah.
prison cell on my face.
Right. And you're like, yeah, I can't breathe under this. Well, you're yelling well.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But
It's like, just don't make. Can we just not? I mean, I feel like our experiences. I mean, getting to know you again is like, I don't know. Are there any experiences documented about people, average people that just went through it? It's like all you hear is the people who were like vigilantes against the masks or were like pro everything, and it's like most of us were just normal, trying to figure out what was going on and stay healthy and hope our family was
right.
okay.
Like the fight wasn't the important part.
Yeah.
It was like
It's
not
like,
not
most of these people probably
dying.
know more
Not
than me.
dying was
I'm
the
okay.
important
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
Not the actual like impeding my rights and stuff. Like that was more of a 2021 and then certainly a 2022 thing. But like 2020, April 2020, I was just focusing on like, all right, what should I do in your opinion to be least likely to die from this? This? Okay. I'll go ahead and do this. But like, yeah, when you said like when stores were at their really most minimal, yeah, the things that were open were grocery stores and liquor stores. Because in Jersey,
Yeah, dude.
Jersey,
Liquor was
all
booming.
alcohol in Jersey is sold at one location. Beer, wine, liquor is all one store,
Okay.
not grocery stores. So those in grocery stores were open. But I remember when Dunkin' started doing pickup order only, I was like so excited because then I would literally stop making myself coffee and I would order a cup of coffee and walk to Dunkin' because that would be like my reason to go and go for a walk to the Dunkin'. I could drive, but I'm like, no, I just need to be walking to Dunkin' and stuff. So like I get the walking around the neighborhood thing. Like I'd go out for runs, but like it was really weird at first because in Jersey there was like curfews. And like state of emergency, so you couldn't drive. So like it was really weird because my apartment at that time was off of two big highways, and like seeing those with just sparse cars traveling on them infrequently because it was basically if you weren't going to work, if your work was closed and you weren't going to work or a grocery store, you weren't supposed to be on the road. And then it was literally like no unnecessary travel after like 7 p.m. So it'd be crazy just because these normally, 6-lane highways that are bumper to bumper a lot of the times were just empty or sparse cars. Like it literally felt like one of those post-apocalyptic shows, as close to as what I've ever seen before.
Yeah, it's funny. In those first few days, I remember like my mom said, because there was a toilet paper scare and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
She was like, I sent you some from Amazon, and she said it and said it was delivered, and I was like, I didn't get it. And it got delivered to my last house, so we had just moved.
Oh
like
no.
whatever it was 6 months before. So I went. So it was still in the first week of this. I went to that house, and it felt like I was in The Last of Us or something. Like going to a neighborhood that nobody was outside. I went to the old house, the HOA house actually.
Oh yeah.
And I was like going up to the fence because our door was like set back from a fence. So I was like, I couldn't ring anything without entering into the fenced area, and it was like, dude, this is scary. Like they're gonna be scared. I'm scared. Like I don't know if I should enter. And I went up, and I was like, hello, and I was just like, I got a package. Ultimately, they sent it back, but it was that weird feeling of like, is this terrifying for them? Is it for me? I don't know what levels we're on.
You were
on this.
banging on the door for toilet paper?
Well, the outside like fence door, like kind of shake, so it would like kind of shake, make the metal sound. And then I finally went in and I just rang the doorbell, but then I got like 15 feet back and I was like, I almost had my hands up. I was like, no, I'm okay. Like,
what do you know about Ray Finkel? The barrel,
the
barrel of the gun comes out.
Yeah, it could have been like that. But it's so wild how like 2 weeks in, everybody just gave up on whatever else we were supposed to be doing.
Kinda.
It was like, we're so lucky it wasn't. I mean, and it was deadly. But if it was even more. If it was like truly like world killer, we would have. Because people right away were like, "Oh, I don't want to do this anymore." Like basically, we're like 2 weeks in, we're like, I can't do this anymore. I can't wear a mask. I can't not stay inside. I just gotta go.
Well,
I
it's
can't."
because it was uncertainty. Everything
Yeah.
was like, we think this is what you should do. And that was the problem, is that no one ever sounded confident. So when you don't sound confident, people are more casually able to rebel, because it's like, do you know this for sure? And every time it's like that, they're like, maybe not. So I'm not going to lie, on a scale of 1 to 10, how our government handled it, I would call like a -2-ish. Like,
So,
what should have been done is close down everything 100% for like 3 weeks and like try to figure it out. But like
yeah, that's what I mean. It should have just been
they
full close. Everything.
tiptoed,
Yeah.
and then we're like, if you want, I guess in this situation, and like, and then it just spun out of control. And by like June, everyone's like, yo, F this, but they're trying to make more stern rules, but people are more fed up. So like that summer was, and dude, there was no sports, so no one had any like hobbies that they could engage in. So everyone was just pissed off by the summer.
Yeah, that's the way it felt. Yeah, that's what I was like. Let's just do a hard 2 weeks right now. Everybody has to stay home. It's
Right.
gonna be tough, but then we'll like stop the spread. It'll be done.
Yep.
Maybe make it 3 weeks, and then it was just like half-assing it the whole time. It was just like.
Did you ever contract the COVIDs?
Not to my knowledge. So if I did, it never hit me.
Okay.
Well, actually, when I moved back to Auburn, like a month in, I was sick for like a weekend, and I thought it was a cold. I mean, it knocked me. I mean, I was like 2 or 3 days, like really tired, like fatigued, like cold symptoms. But it never got fully to. I mean, I'd already had the vaccine thing.
Yeah.
But then I never tested. But then like a week later, both my mom and dad had it. So I was like, I could have had it.
Yeah.
But I never.
Let's
to my
be
knowledge,
honest,
never,
Matt. You had it.
probably. But it never hit me. That was the worst I've been sick since everything started. And I would say it was more like a cold, but I never lost the taste. I never had any of the like symptoms that some people had. So never, to my knowledge, I never tested positive. That was the closest I ever come to it. So you know what? That voracious boozing must have been helping at the time. Did you ever get it?
I did.
Bad.
I got it last summer, so I was a late bloomer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got it last summer, but to get it, I had to venture out and seek it. Meaning, I took a trip. My first flight since COVID, I took a trip out to Minneapolis for a Twins game. Met some buddies out there, and then the last day we were there, I woke up in the hotel and I had a really weird cough that I've never felt before, and I'm like, oh boy. I'm like, well, like, all right. I'm like, I don't have fever and anything like that. I'm like, but this cough is really weird. Like, it's felt like something deep that I couldn't get, couldn't cough up and stuff. And so the whole day, I'm like trying to monitor how I'm feeling. Eventually, I get on the flight home that evening, and by the time I get on the flight, I'm just really, really tired. And I'm like, I got enough sleep. So I'm like, man, I'm tired. So I go home, and then the next day, I'm like, felt a little bit more sick. I went to work. I worked Monday. I won't say I went to work, but I worked Monday. And by Monday midday, I'm like, I am a dumpster fire. So I left work early, and then I just told my boss, I'm like, listen, I'm not coming in tomorrow unless a miracle happens. And then Tuesday, I was floored. Wednesday, I got a little bit better. Thursday, I got a little better. Was like perfectly fine by Friday or Saturday, and I had caught it Saturday. So I literally, mine was a week, floored me for about a day and a half, 2 days, like what you're saying, and then I was fine. But never lost anything taste, smell wise. But I have family members that weren't so lucky.
What changed? I guess I don't know how to phrase it. Like, well, in the world and in you, that since it happened.
Ooh.
I mean, I know. I mean, just conceptually, the idea of time is gone. Like how long things happened or when it all happened. Who knows?
Yeah.
I feel like I remember, like right before this happened, I had actually interviewed for a job at Indeed. Like the job the job hiring company. It would have been it's kind of like a.
Did you find the post on Indeed or on like Monster?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, I wish you had found on Career Builder.
Actually, it might have been my buddy. My buddy was working for him, and he might have recommended me or referred me or something like that. but I had an interview, and then like a week later, it was like we're freezing all hiring. It would have been a cool job. I mean, I still don't know if I would have got it for sure, but I mean, I was still in the process
Right.
after the first interview, but and
What if they just
yeah,
lied to you and used that as a crutch?
fine. I guess made me feel okay about it. I guess.
See, that's pretty good then.
But I was like, would have been like a working at home job, like telecommuting to start before COVID
Right.
even. So would have been a good paying job. And now it's like, I don't know. I guess I don't care as much about career stuff anymore per se. Maybe I will moving forward. That was the last time I think I was earnestly like searching for like a career or a job.
Yeah.
The rest of it, everything else is kind of fallen into place, I think.
Yeah.
I hate that. Oh, well, maybe it's just here, but like stuff closes so early now.
Yeah. Well, for late
Like,
late night people, yeah, it's a big difference.
yeah.
There's not 24-hour
like what
things
if restaurants? Anymore. Yeah. I mean, when I got out of work here at 10 o'clock, nothing's open in town.
Wegmans itself.
A lot of stuff closes at 8 o'clock. Really.
Wegmans.
What's that?
Is Wegmans 24 hours
it's open
again?
until midnight.
Okay.
But they maybe even talk about moving that to 10. But I did get really into like Uber Eats or whatever. Like that was great when that came out. Like all of a sudden getting DoorDash and that kind of stuff. Getting used to like getting food from anywhere delivered to your door. That's more of a part of my life now.
Okay.
I've only been to the movies twice. I think I mentioned since COVID. It was to see the 2 video game movies. I would like to go to the movies for me, and I would say going to Mario Brothers was for me too. But I'd like to see an adult movie in a movie theater.
Go
Pee Wee Herman style.
Go see Guardians 3.
Really?
It's the best Marvel movie post Endgame, hands down, no dispute.
Okay.
It's an endorsement. It does not feel like the Marvel stuff post Endgame where I'm like, I guess I'll just see this because it's something. No, It's very, very good. But I try to get back in the movies, but my problem is my argument is that movies have been terrible for the last 3 years. So there hasn't been a
it was
a
wild
really
that
need.
Top Gun Maverick, like when that came out and movie theaters opened again and it saved movies, that everybody's like, this is the greatest movie ever. And I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it later and I was like, yes, probably what I thought. It was good. It was solid. But
I still haven't seen it.
It was nominated for an Academy Award just because
right, because it saved
it was
cinema.
like the cheesiest movie. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's just where it was.
That Tenet movie was supposed to, and that's on what's his face, isn't it? Christopher Nolan. Yeah, but that flopped pretty bad, actually.
I should have spent the whole pandemic trying to understand that movie.
Did you see it?
No.
Oh, yeah. I heard it was just
lackluster. That's why I didn't want to dive into it. Just from the preview, and then people that I knew were like, "Yeah, I saw it. I didn't understand it." I was like, I don't know if I want to get into that.
Yeah. I mean, for me, what it changed was, work stuff did, because obviously I was still working at my previous employer, and I developed a terrible work-life balance at home. I was working long hours because I was working at home. So I'd like stop working at my time to stop working. And then I would go and like make myself food or whatever. And then I'd be like, well, I'm literally living in my apartment by myself. Instead of sitting at the table, I might as well like review some documents while I eat. So I'd go back into my room where my desk office setup was, and I'd work a little. And then I'd be like, oh, well, I'll just turn on a movie and work while I watch this movie. And so like, I just found myself constantly in a state of work because there was nowhere else to go because things were closed. So I had nothing else to do. So I was doing it as a time filler, when in reality, I was also just constantly working. And so, the work environment became really weird, became different. And my employer, I think, handled it extremely poorly. They're still handling it poorly from the communications I get from friends that still work there. But in general, like there was no mercy, and they blamed the associates on everything. And so I actually took 3 weeks off for medical leave because my anxiety got so bad from working so much and the conditions that they were having us work under, and then what I was obviously putting onto myself. So I took 3 weeks off and came back to work. And within a couple of weeks, they were like, oh, you're going to be on a warning for like production issues. I literally just got back from 3 weeks of basically being burnt out and driven in the ground from our workload. And you're going to tell me that now you want to put me on a warning. And so like in my head, I'm like, there's probably something questionable ethically about you doing that to me. I'm like, but instead I'll just start looking for jobs. And I got a job, and it was so satisfying to be like, yeah, I'm leaving. I'm like, this is a pile of trash. I was on like a program to expedite through certain levels so I could go back to liability in the management level without getting too far into it. But I'm like, you guys set me up for this. And then it's just like, you're tearing the rug out from under me. This isn't healthy for me. So when I got my new job, it was a hard reset. And I just kind of told myself, I'm like, you did it this way for 10 years and you got some promotions and stuff like that. But I'm like, you weren't happy and you overworked yourself. So I'm like, this time, no working outside your work hours, like for free work because you're on salary, and just do things differently. Like set up meetings with people and be like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a trainer. I want to be a trainer. And so I changed literally the entire way that I used to work. Just because I'm like, the goal isn't just keep earning more money. Like that's not the goal. It can't be. You think that's what you're supposed to do originally. And I'm like, it's not climb the corporate ladder or anything. I'm like, it's be balanced with being happy and, enjoying things and being able to have that living wage. So like I changed just a format of how I did. And I ended up, since I was salaried, luckily I got a manager that's like, you're salaried. If you can get your job done in 35 hours a week, then do it in 35, like whatever.
Ooh, yeah.
So, it was this whole,
That's so progressive of
it
them.
was such a change of culture that, everything was very stringent and drive us into the ground. And then this was not. And so it went with my plan of working in a very different style. And I make a lot healthier work-life balance decisions now. I take more time off than I had because I always used to like frantically bank PTO out of like fear that I would need it for something. So yeah, I changed how I work, and I'm still going with that new method. And I work for a company that's a lot better about that.
Tight.
Toy.
Yeah, I mean, cool. You enhance your work-life balance, and I got Uber Eats.
Both
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
like you said, life-changing experiences.
I mean, I feel like just quickly, like it did, I think, because I was living a life too where we would go to music shows or gigs all the time, like go downtown like a few nights a week, or especially in Austin. And then when that shut down, kind of, it really affected, I mean, hobbies, but like what we do, like what do I do in my life? Like who do I hang out with? And like a lot of those relationships all burned out. And I guess in a way I could have kept those going, but we know how I am with that.
I was going to say, well, that's not a surprise to any listener
Yeah.
that fizzled out.
But it's weird that, I mean, because you hang out with people in a certain way, like going out to shows and gigs, and then if you don't have that, then what do you have? But I think it also just really lowered my social battery in a way. Like I've found like after that, it's just really hard to like go out a lot. Like it's a whole thing.
So do you
kind
feel
of
like you're handling your pre-COVID life is very like your social, like you in society feel is different than what it was pre-COVID?
I think so. I mean, maybe that's not. I mean, and I guess when I left Austin in 2021, it's kind of when things were coming back to, but it wasn't like full on shows and stuff. I mean, I follow people now in Austin, I mean, friends and stuff who like, seems like all the like the music weeks are back, and South by Southwest is back,
Yeah.
and ACL Fest is all. So I think maybe if I was there and now I would be more into it, but maybe it's because I'm in Auburn where there's less stuff to do.
Right.
Maybe that's part of it. But I also don't have the desire necessarily to do the, I don't know. I think it would take effort for me to get that, like a muscle, like that social engagement thing is a muscle that needs exercise, and I didn't. It's like atrophied after a couple years, and now it's like I need like an impetus for something to happen. Whereas I'm not as much able to like instigate it.
Yeah.
Like now I'm okay to go with it. Like I went out to like a pub last week with people from work. Didn't drink, by the way. Didn't drink.
Nice.
First time I've ever hung out at a bar, like a cash only, like get fucked up Irish bar in Syracuse. No drinks. Really weird. It's really weird to be the sober one there. Everybody's getting hammered. um, but stay strong.
Yeah.
Live strong.
Yeah.
Lance Armstrong hashtag. But I went there. But when I got back from it, I was like, I was like, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I went out and did it. But before the pandemic, that'd be like 3 nights a week of doing stuff like that at least. Or back-to-back nights, and just seemed to have unlimited energy for that. Maybe it's also just being older that could contribute to it too.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it was essentially 2 years of not doing stuff that I was used to doing. But I think now I do things like fish. I mean, that's when I bought my first kayak. I bought like an inflatable kayak. And we would bring it to the lake and we would go on. And I was like, oh, I love this. So I still have that part of my life. It's probably why I got really heavily back into gaming. But I think it also solidified like kind of the closest relationships that I had at the time as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just something that happened. We were part of it. It changed everything.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Got any hot rec?
I've been listening to. Have you heard of the band Turnstile? I feel like you probably have.
No.
Oh, swell. Turnstile. So they're like, they're big in terms of like for a rock punk band. They got nominated for a Grammy. They're big in that world, but that's not like the world we grew up in where rock was on the radio station and everybody got it. So to me, it's like a modern, almost like Offspring smash where they have like, it's got like the riffage and some of the chugging, but then the cool like anthemic vocals, but also it's got a little hardcore mixed into it too. So you may have heard some of their songs on commercials or stuff, but yeah, Turnstile, check them out, dude.
Okay.
I highly recommend it. I've been digging it for the summer. It's not a new record, and they've been around for a while. But yeah, got good aggro vocal. Some of it's riffy, some of it's more vocal based, harmonies.
Well, their picture on Spotify certainly screams punk rock.
Yeah, they got the dude flipping upside down.
Yeah, it almost looks like they're overdoing it.
Yeah. Actually, it's the first time I saw him on Instagram, and it might have been it must have been a year or two ago. But it kind of looked cheesy because the lead singer was kind of like doing these dances, and I was like, oh, he's just hamming it up. It's kind of like goofy, just trying to get like the Instagram, like following. But then I listened to it, I was like, oh, this is really good.
Okay. Any particular album?
Whatever one has like the pink clouds on it. What's that called?
Glow On?
I think so.
2021 album?
Yeah. That's the one I first heard. So their hits, I mean, the big ones were like Blackout, Holiday.
Okay.
Yeah, Glow On. I mean, to be frank, I haven't dived into like their back catalog. I remember hearing them, and then I think last year I put it on a playlist. I made like a summer 22 playlist, and then I forgot about it, and I never really listened to it. And then I was driving the other day, and I popped it on. I was like, oh, what did I want to listen to? And I heard that song again. Now I've been listening to the album, and I'm like, dude, I gotta tell Jeff about this. Nice. I think you'll dig it. It's got that. It's almost like if AI made punk music, which is a terrible description. Sorry, punk enthusiast. But I just mean like you can tell it takes influences from a lot of different punk artists.
Okay.
But it's definitely, they have their own identity and catchy songs.
Delightful. Oh,
check it out.
Hey, good. I've heard of one band that's on the fans also like.
What?
The band Trapped Under Ice, which of course is named after.
Is that a Metallica cover?
It is. Well, the band's named after that. There's also a band called Hit the Lights. That's a pop punk band, but it's named after a Metallica song. But anyway,
band's also like yeah. I don't know any Suburban Scum, Incendiary, Cold World, dude. These are the punkest names.
Oh, I know.
I love it. Dead End Path. They're probably cool as fuck.
My hot rec is a lot less intense. My hot rec is a glass of water next to your bed on the bedstand. That's my hot rec. Because I don't know when I started doing it.
Did you just watch Signs?
But I faithfully have now a glass of water that I get before I go to bed. Now, sometimes it's ice water. Sometimes it's just tap water, like room temperature-ish, whatever comes out the refrigerator filter. But it helps many ways. So one is if you have to take pills, you put, I'm a bad pill taker. So if it's like, you're supposed to take these right before bed or right when you wake up, pills on the nightstand, you always have water to take said pills because you're going to bed with a glass of water. If you stay up at night, it's a little something, keep you, hydrated. But big one is like if you wake up in the middle of the night, you might not realize it, but a part of you is thirsty because like anytime I wake up, if I wake up for any reason, have like enough time that I'm woken up and have a conscious thought, I'll reach over, just take a swig of that water. And it like, I don't know, eases things back into like normalcy. You get, cause you could wake up pretty parched. So yeah, man, I don't know. Glass of water at bed. I started doing it like I do it every once in a while before, but like now I do it. It's part of my system. It's part of my routine. A glass of water.
Yeah, I like it. I've actually been doing that for a long time.
Yeah?
I keep the water bottle.
Okay.
Unless do you like have your do you fill up your water so that it's really like when you're trying to reach it at night, not pour it, you gotta like
No,
it's on the side. You gotta like get your head in an awkward position to make sure it doesn't.
I have not gone
spill out.
I have not gone 24 hours without spilling a glass of water in my house. So no.
That's why you got to get the bottles. So I would up that rec to like a bottle, but still.
Yeah, maybe a bottle with a straw would be probably pretty game changing for me, to be honest with you.
I guess the real recommendation too is drink it because sometimes I do have a science situation going on where all of a sudden I've got 4 bottles of water on my nightstand. That's all I have there.
Well, that's the thing with a reusable cup. You don't do that because like in the morning I'll be like, oh, I got to take this downstairs, or I'll pour out whatever I don't need into the bathroom sink and then bring it downstairs.
It's weird because some nights I won't drink it at all, but then some nights I'll be like,
yeah,
I'm glad there's 2 because I'm going to chug 2 of these bottles.
Oh yeah.
Right now.
That's the beauty of it is you don't know how much you are going to need for that night.
Mm-hmm.
But good. I'm glad. That's probably an old person thing,
friends.
Right?
Stay hydrated, StrangeFam. Yeah. Keep it wet.
Punk rock and glass of water at the nightstand.
Yeah. All right, let's get our new words for next week.
Mm-hmm.
Random word generator, check. By the way, we're at an hour 11 now, and I'm not sorry at all. I'm not even beginning to be sorry about this.
That's basically 2 episodes for that individual. So you're welcome. You can pause it halfway through. The COVID can be the start of your second episode.
We do have a YouTube watcher. I think she's commented a couple times. Her name's Andy Grattan. I don't know personally. Do you?
An old coworker of mine. Yes, Andy Grattan.
Okay. I don't know if she's an organic fan, but yeah. So she was saying, because I asked maybe when do you listen? She says, I like listening on my 40-minute drive to work, at my desk at work, when on a task I don't need to think about, and I have 0 complaints. It's very enjoyable, gentlemen. Smiley faced. Andy Grattan, you are our StrangeFam Listener of the Week.
Oh!
There's got to be some kind of like...
Woo! Wow. 2 different...
and then about the Wheel of Fortune. Yes, Freaky Jeff did get a puzzle out of the air one day watching Wheel of Fortune back in the day. I did not remember the actual solve. I'm over 60 years old, but he is very good at the solves.
Oh, that's
Grandma.
That's Sherbo.
So there you go. You've been proven true.
Because if Sharon Warden's not going to be validation, I don't know who is.
All right. Let's share the random word generator and get that little drum beat. Moving, lineage, legend. These seem like doable words, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Moving, lineage, and legend. Those will be the words.
That's probably our best role.
In terms of a functional conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that. But that'll do it, friends.
Yes.
Our COVID-19 episode is over, and COVID-19 is over. Even though my mom and grandma got it last week, they still have a cough from it. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. Yep. All right.
Well, man.
Well, I got to say, the next time we record, you will be a man of a certain age.
Yes. Yeah.
We are 2 days away. Actually, when this episode's coming out, Mr. Worden here is a 40-year-old man.
Ew.
So next episode will be about 40 minutes in, we'll start talking about what it's like to be
Yep.
40 years old. That'll be our 40-year-old man episode.
Yep.
It's exciting. I'm excited. Any quick feelings about it?
Back and forth. I feel positive about it, then I feel down about it, but it's always there. I didn't think the acknowledgement would be there, but it's 100% always.
It's like creeps up. It creeps up.
Exactly. It creeps up, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. But all you gotta do is just keep hammering through. I don't know if you're supposed to, like, that's the thing is, I'm like, what's the better idea? Celebrating it or ignoring it? I don't know.
Yeah. Nobody tells you.
Nope.
It just happens.
Nope.
And we'll dissect it next week
100%.
in an hour 15 and change.
Yeah.
All right, Strange Fam. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Keep it real.
Staying gangsta.
Do you want to go with keep it?
No, do kids say that? I don't know.
Hey, you know what, Strange Fam? Do what the kids say.
Keep it strange.
YOLO!